strong, and the Waddle Dees are proud to...
Peak male performance right there. And we're back with more Kirby lore, but this time with a video on King Dedede. My initial perception of King Dedede, well, back when I didn't know anything about Kirby lore, was that he was like the main antagonist. However, I think that was only the case in like the very first game. In every other game, it's kind of like he gets possessed by something and then becomes a antagonist, unwillingly. But for the most part, he's kind of there to help out Kirby. As much as he can, I guess. I'm not really sure how competent he is. However, I did see a few comments mention that he's actually like one of the most powerful warriors on his planet, if we don't factor in Meta Knight or Kirby. So I'm interested to see what a video focused on King Dedede would talk about. But of course, as always, please go and support the OG video before watching this reaction. The link to that is always at the very top of the description. The last video that we watched from this channel, called Designing for Friendship, was absolutely phenomenal, so I expect great stuff from this one as well. Alright, my dudes, let's get right into it.
Dedede, that's the name you should know. Dedede, he's the king of the show. You'll holler and hoot, he'll get Kermit a boot.
Wait, does he actually have a song?
You know, it's hard to think much of a character like King Dedede, at first glance at least. The original antagonist of the Kirby series has served as a charming doofus for 3 decades, and really, there's no need to expect much more of Dedede. He's got an amazing character design that's both simple and iconic. His cartoon mallet feels great to smack things around with. And the guy's just so incredibly expressive and over the top that other characters would wish they have half of Dedede's effortless appeal.
Look at that charisma!
I mean, there's not a great...
I don't know too much about that, but I suppose I could somewhat agree. I'm not the character designer of the group, unfortunately, so can't speak much on that end. But I certainly wouldn't recognize King Dedede as any other character.
Great many characters who can get across their entire characterization in just a crouching animation. But this guy?
Damn! Okay, hold up a minute. He's got the sauce. Oh, man. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, you can tell so much about him just from this. That's actually brilliant.
King Dedede's just good, simple fun, in the same way that the pink puffball he bullies is. And just like Kirby, the pompous penguin's got a lot more under the hood. However, while Kirby represents boundless potential and optimism in the face of adversity, Dedede is significantly less symbolic. He's an egomaniac with a big hammer and an appetite. What he contributes on a multiversal scale isn't much more than being a footnote in Kirby's adventures that reads, "Oh yeah, also Dedede was there." But in spite of his story being so much smaller than Kirbo's, it's exactly that, his relationship with Kirby, that makes Triple D so remarkable.
Is this going to be one of those situations where the older you become, the more you relate to King Dedede? It's like a Tom and Jerry, right? Like as a kid, you're cheering for Jerry, but the more you grow up, the more you realize how much of an a-hole he is and how much more relatable Tom is. Maybe? I don't know.
King Dedede has seen and experienced all of the world-ending, existence-assimilating, nightmare-fueling calamities Kirby's faced off with. Sometimes unwittingly controlled by them, sometimes fighting them at Kirby's side. And in the face of it all, he's grown. The arrogant avian is still kind of a jerk, sure. But game by game, bit by bit, Dedede has developed from Dreamland's shameful tyrant into a benevolent king to be proud of. A character meant as nothing more than a cute-looking end boss became a true hero in his own right.
That's awesome.
And it's all due to the heart that Kirby was willing to share with him. King Dedede has become proof of the power of kindness. But before all that, he was just a dick.
You puny peewees better be
Hey, everybody's gotta start from somewhere. He does fill an important role, however. Like, not just as being, like, the very first antagonist. But yeah, you have to have that person there who is changed by Kirby's kindness. to kind of see the effect of that on others. It's all well and good seeing Kirby being kind to people, but like actually seeing the effects of that on somebody and having a character arc with that person on a relatable level really enhances that message that we're trying to send.
Scared because I'm the baddest dude on the whole planet!
In his debut appearance of Kirby's Dream Land, Dedede doesn't even pretend he's the king of the place, only residing in the neighboring Mount Dedede to let his minions loot all the food and sparkling stars that Dreamland has to offer. Kirby, a spry young boy, volunteers to assail the mountain castle, meets its master, and has a wrestling match.
Well, I mean, this was back when Kirby didn't really have the lore that it has now. So there's probably a few things here that aren't going to line up
with him. Okay. Dedede is a goofball of a final boss, jumping way up high in the air for huge splashes, falling on his face for a quick tackle, bringing in a foreign object to the ring to clobber Kirby with, and even stealing Kirby's own signature move to humiliate him. These are silly heel tactics 101, and Dedede revels in getting to use them. The king is a showy, self-obsessed bully looking to humiliate anyone he shares the squared circle with and throw his bulk around. And he's pretty dang durable in his first appearance. Fights with Dedede are meant to be an ego trip, squash matches that he'll always win. But finally, here's someone to smack him right in the face. And he is shocked every single time you land even one hit on him.
Funny.
And when you send him blasting off again, Dedede's not gonna learn his lesson, looking to get right back at Kirby in extra mode. An even harder challenge to really test Kirby's abilities, where he promptly loses again. His ego crushed, Dedede cries and sulks off all alone, before Kirby follows him off screen. Kirby never passes up the opportunity to make a friend, and this is his first chance. Dreamland is overall a pretty simple and silly game, but it establishes everything that would come to define King Dedede in the future. After this single appearance, after Kirby extends his hand in friendship, Dedede doesn't really serve as the main villain of the series anymore. Sure, there are competitions like Battle Royale or retellings of Dreamland like Blowout Blast, but otherwise, the guy's most evil appearances are Tilt and Tumble, Dream Course, Avalanche. King Dedede will still show up to antagonize Kirby. Obviously, the guy's a sore loser and he wants his run back. But this defeat and the following sympathy from Kirby changes something within Dedede. Never all at once, but slowly.
Hey, I mean, that's how change goes. You're not gonna randomly change into a different person overnight. And at his core, he obviously has his values. But to me, seeing a character slowly progress across time and giving us the time to see that slow progression means a lot more. It's just more relatable because, like, with us, if we want to change something about ourselves, we kind of have to start with, like, small little habits that we do, and then slowly progress from there. Or else it's just not going to be sustainable. I think King Dedede will always be kind of very competitive and be a bit of a sore loser, but I think at least now he understands what's important.
Selfish king who would starve an entire kingdom because he had the munchies would come to care for those that he looked down upon. Gone was the fearsome, reclusive tyrant of Mount Dedede. And in his place was the King of Dreamland, ready to take some responsibility for those he claimed to rule over. Dedede's first act as king is to make it so that all his subjects can't sleep anymore while he uses their holy sanctum as a swimming pool.
So tell me, Kirby, have you been having pleasant dreams lately? Well, ain't that a crying out loud shame?
Kirby's adventure portrays his portliness as the main antagonist, breaking up the legendary Star Rod to keep the citizens of Dreamland from, well, dreaming. And gives the pieces to his buddies all around the world. Seeing that Triple D is up to no good again, Kirby reclaims all the pieces, confronts the penguin, and Dedede gets his rematch. Having trained extensively in the art of inflating himself, just like a balloon, to try and one-up his new rival. But in spite of the lazy king actually showing effort, Kirby pretty handily overcomes him,
Well, look, I don't blame King Dedede for losing to Kirby, because that's basically a nigh impossible fight. I do commend his courage to fight him on like an even playing field, kind of, because like he literally trained in Kirby's method. I don't think that's the most effective fighting method for you, but maybe you'll find something that works. I don't know. I think it's pretty clear that King Dedede and Kirby are very different beings.
Ignites the Star Rod, and accidentally releases the Nightmare Wizard from the Fountain of Dreams to terrorize Dreamland.
Yoinks.
You see, King Dedede only stole the Star Rod to seal away the nightmare. Dedede's intentions were noble. He wanted to be Dreamland's hero. He was just exceptionally bad at it, and was far too prideful to ask Kirby for any help.
Oh, poor King Dedede, man. I actually relate to this so much. Just in like the opposite scenario though. When I was playing Knights of the Old Republic 2, I decided that I was gonna go on a dark side playthrough as my first playthrough. And it was getting really interesting. I actually enjoyed the writing on that. Props to Obsidian. But one thing that we discovered was the fact that I was incredibly bad at being bad. There would be scenarios where I attempted to screw people over, but then somehow made like the wrong choices and ended up saving an entire race of people. Or like another scenario where I would try to swindle the law enforcement on a particular planet by assisting the criminal organization. But instead I ended up turning all of them into jail and receiving a reward from the citizens and kind of ended up becoming their hero. It was not great. I mean, the result was great for everybody, but it certainly wasn't what I intended. That being said, I actually do kind of like villains like that. Fun villains who maybe don't take themselves too seriously, or maybe take themselves a little too seriously. And yet, they can never really do, like, the purest of all evil. They try and try, but ultimately, they're not perfect. They're not perfect as villains and not perfect as people. Who knows? Perhaps King Dedede falls into that category.
Or to tell him anything, really. But knowing the danger, Dedede launches Kirby into the upper atmosphere along with the Star Rod to vanquish the nightmare and bring sweet dreams back to his kingdom. While misguided and very poorly planned, as early as his second mainline appearance, King Dedede is trying to be a better ruler for his people. He just needs more practice, more power, and to get one up on that there Kirby. And while he would lose a gourmet race or 3 in the meantime, Dedede was still growing stronger, better, and with enough training, would surely have the chance to...
What's this icky paint like poop?
Until... Dark Matter.
Dedede spends both Kirby's Dream Land 2 and Kirby's Dream Land 3 possessed by dark matter, an amorphous sentient star of pure darkness looking to assimilate all life across the cosmos. My man literally sleeps through his Dream Land 2 boss fight and... Yeah, moving on. Only by gathering the rainbow drops and heart stars can Kirby exorcise the demon from within the king's body. And Dedede, for his part, seems perfectly complacent to let Kirbo do his thing and kill a dark god after that.
I mean, King Dedede ain't gonna be doing that on his own, that's for sure. If he's gonna do it for us, and then we can get back to our own rivalry, I think I'll just let him do it, you know? I get the mindset. I agree with his decision here.
Kirby 64, though, that's where things really start heating up for the mind-controlled monarch. At first, Dedede is his regular jerk of a self. keeping a crystal shard from Kirby, mostly because he can and it would make Kirby upset.
Hi.
Before falling for Dark Matter's fiendish possession hat trick prank.
Not again.
But after being soundly and frankly unceremoniously beaten again, and some pleading from Waddle Dee, something comes over Dedede. Whether it be care for his subject, embarrassment at being beaten so easily again,
A lot of emotions.
or just guilt building up as he starts wanting to do the right thing, Dedede follows Kirby and becomes one of the gang in this planet-hopping adventure. For the first time
Good for you,
outside of
man.
Samurai Kirby, King Dedede is playable, getting into the thick of certain levels with Kirby and smashing through obstacles with his outstanding strength. He's not perfect. He still tosses his little rival around like a rag doll when he gets the chance. But Dedede really comes to care for Ribbon, Adeline, Waddle Dee, and even Kirby himself. He helps save Adeline's life from an erupting volcano. He makes sure Kirby's gluttony doesn't get the little guy stranded on a desert planet. He even starts bawling when he has to say goodbye to his new friend Ribbon.
Aww.
This is Dedede doing unabashed, completely selfless good for the first time in his life.
Oh my god. No! Why am I tearing up again? Ah! Dude, no, I can't. I'm literally just a crybaby. It's undeniable now at this point. But man, it's such a beautiful thing with Kirby's, like, pure kindness melting King Dedede's heart, and deep down, he wants to do good and be loved by others. But you know, maybe he's a little embarrassed to do it. Maybe he doesn't want to show it. Maybe he feels like, you know, he wants to be the best and he wants to be better than Kirby. And I feel like, yeah, those are very natural emotions. Everybody kind of has them. But everybody's also capable of doing good. And all it really takes is that active choice to do so. It might not seem like much, but this is awesome character development for him.
And by the end of it all, he's properly recognized as a hero of Ripple Star.
Oh, come now, little
Isn't
old
that
me a
amazing?
hero. Surely you jesting.
His care for others has ceased to be purely out of glory or obligation, primarily anyway, and has become genuine. The greedy king feels empathy as his heart grows. Anyway, Squeak Squad happens next in release order. It's weird. Kirby gets his cake stolen and assumes it's Dedede, so he goes to his house unprompted and beats him up. But, like, Dedede was just chilling, so he yeets Kirby into a hole to beat up some mice, and also at some point he imprisoned the Lord of the Underworld, who might be a remnant of Dark Matter, and is just like, yeah, Kirby'll take care of it, and just after the first boss fight, he's just gone?
Look, man. Kirby just strutted up to his castle and beat the heck out of him for no reason, just based off of suspicion. I don't blame him at all for just being like, yeah, just get down there and go deal with it. God, you're wasting my time.
But he's got the NME transporter from the anime, so the anime's real now, and Look, Dedede fought the devil and won, but off-screen, and Kirby doesn't trust Dedede at this point to not steal his food. I need to say both of those things at some point in this video, but Kirby doesn't really have a consistent timeline according to Kumazaki, and it didn't make sense to say it somewhere else, and I don't know how to get out of this section. I'm kind of just rambling because I couldn't think of a good way. But there's still doubt within Dedede's heart. If he tried with all of his power, using all of his resources, everything he learned, would his strength be monstrous enough to clobber dat dare Kirby? He had to try. One final chance to prove himself as the most dominant force on Dreamland. This wasn't Dedede looking for another rematch. This was the final and complete revenge of the king.
Look, that thought will always be there. And he chose to act upon it this time. But I guess in a way, it also helps out everybody in the end because he trains so hard to become so much stronger than he is now just so that he can beat Kirby. And that strength in the future is obviously used for much better things. He might not have strived to this extent if it wasn't for this rivalry with Kirby.
Dedede would pit his fiercest and most loyal subjects against the accursed pink lump, reacting in horror as, one by one, they all fall to Kirby's voracious appetite. His Waddle Dees defending him to his last, Dedede attempts to spare at least one bandana-wearing friend. But Bandy's loyalty is too great. He too tries to challenge Kirby for Dedede's dream, and he too falls. With nothing left, Dedede faces off against Kirby in the most honorable duel he can possibly imagine.
It's hammer time?
An electrified steel cage match, giving Kirby his old hammer while he uses a cool robot one with rockets and flamethrowers.
Of course.
Dedede is very good at understanding subtlety.
I'll kick that Kirby to the curb!
And using every trick he knows, fighting with all he has. Cheered on by a rallying Bandana D.
I didn't even notice.
Duels Kirby
oh, it's so cute. You tried.
Dedede could never beat his rival. Of course he couldn't. Even if you push yourself beyond your limits, how can you beat someone whose very existence is limitless?
Right.
King Dedede will never again be the strongest force in Dreamland. But being a king doesn't mean being the greatest.
Oh, yeah. Hey, good analogy showing the chess pieces. The king is like, it sucks. You're not going to be using that for anything, so just avoiding the enemy. But it's still the most important piece. After putting his all here, though, and knowing that despite that, he's still going to lose to Kirby, I feel like it's a valuable lesson for him to humble himself and finally figure his shit out, you know? This is good for him. And thank goodness that the person he's fighting is Kirby. If it was anybody else, he might have gotten curb stomped or maybe even lost his life.
It means providing all you can and doing the best for your subjects. As Dedede once again walks into the sunset,
He's trying to find himself,
and
man.
Depressed, it's not Kirby that follows him this time.
His subjects.
The Waddle Dees,
The
even in
Bandana
defeat, still follow their king. King Dedede's last battle with Kirby may have ended up the same way as his first, but he's no longer alone. His actions have earned him friends, earned him trust,
That's really cute.
and earned him enough respect that in spite of his weaknesses and buffoonery, those closest to Dedede will still follow him.
Hey, man. They know you're not perfect. You should know that you're not perfect after this defeat. And it's okay. You can still be a great leader and make mistakes. It happens. You just gotta learn from them and take care of your peeps.
This truly marks the end of Dedede as a villain. He'll still compete, cheat, and be full of himself, but a conquering might makes right champion he will never be again. His compassion has earned him something far, far more powerful.
Hey.
Even spin-offs continue establishing Dedede's development.
Oh, really?
While Kirby
Smash?
Right Back At Ya mostly sees his majesty as a commentary on inept leadership and the overindulgence of commercialism in contrast to the simple joys taught and indulged in by Kirby.
Wonder what Dedede's up to. Based on past experience, I think it's safe to say it's something stupid.
Dedede has his moments. I mean,
Was that actually a line from the show? Dang, poor Dedede, man. His reputation will never recover. But, like, who cares? As long as your people think highly of you, then at least you're doing something right.
just two moments, really. But when a meteor is going to destroy Dreamland, the selfish king decides to use his last moments alive to destroy a monument to himself in order to make room for a playground. He invites Kirby over and sits down to swing with the little guy, knowing that he's about to die, but happy for the first moment of selflessness in his life.
命短し恋せよででで
And after surviving that, and returning to form by pranking Kirby with live explosives, the fed-up citizens of Cappytown decide to pull a fast one on the king, telling him that Kirby has died due to his actions, and are holding a funeral.
No.
Dedede weeps openly for his fallen rival, and when the little guy clumsily reveals that it's just a prank, Dedede hugs Kirby in relief, telling the puffball that he gives his life meaning.
It was dull being ruler of Dreamland 4. You came.
Bro, at this point, this is like a Batman-Joker relationship, but just like way more wholesome. You complete me. And that's undeniably true, because a lot of King Dedede's motivations kind of stem from Kirby now at this point. Initially, it came from his own greed. But a lot of what he does is just centered around trying to beat Kirby. And seeing him do something completely out of character in those final moments where he believed he would truly die just goes to show you that that is exactly who he actually is. But, he has this other persona that he wears on the outside in order to make people see him as whatever image that he wants to be seen as. But deep down, he's a kind person who just wants to be loved.
Come along. I need me an enemy.
Epic Yarn shows a continuation of Dedede's care and protectiveness of his subjects in his own rough and tumble way.
You can't be mean to my Waddle Dees. Only I can be mean to my Waddle Dees.
The novel King Dedede's Great Escape Mission doubles down on the Dedede-volution. Dedede inspiring a prisoner who'd lost hope in others by proclaiming his devotion for his subjects, giving them the push they need to hatch a grand prison escape with him. D3 has really started to accept what it means to be a good ruler for his people, learning from his encounters with
Becoming
Kirby,
a leader.
wanting to give his subjects the kind.
Which, honestly, is something that King Dedede probably has over Kirby. Because Kirby just wants to live a simple life with his friends. But King Dedede actually has these responsibilities and these people that he has to look out for. Plus the fact that Kirby's essentially like a baby, which is why he always gets tricked so easily. So yeah, the story wouldn't be complete without Dedede in it.
Kind of life that he wants to live. Every day. Every day work without rest. Every day. Take a nap when you please. Sing when you want to sing. Dance when you want to dance. Every day, have fun and enjoy life. That's what it means to be a great king.
Words to live by.
But of course, if we're talking spin-offs, there's one king to rule them all. Initially lumped in with the villain camp in Super Smash Bros. Brawl's Subspace Emissary.
Honestly, that's probably why my perception of King Dedede was as an antagonist. Because, yeah, I did play this version of Smash. Recognize that cutscene.
Dedede quickly defects to do his own thing when he learns of the true nature of Taboo, the master of subspace, and his life-erasing off-waves. However, Dedede is far too proud to ask anyone for help other than his Waddle Dees. So he goes around by himself, collecting defeated fighters before the likes of Wario and Bowser can bring them back to the growing darkness. In his mountain lair, Dedede develops a brooch that can revive a fighter from death, making sure that no matter what, someone will be there to see the world through.
Really? So that's what was going on. It's been such a long time since I played it. I guess as a kid I didn't really understand what was going on, but that was very noble of him.
And in spite of his arrogance, he gives away all of them, even the brooch meant for himself, to keep as many others alive as possible. Sure, he's still a doofus who makes mistakes and can't ask for help to save his life, but he's a doofus who's able to beat Bowser one-on-one. The Koopa King's only got himself to fight for after all, and Dedede has long overcome that loneliness. And when it's time for the king to finally reunite with Kirby, once again unwittingly helped by Dedede's actions. Dreamland's ruler can't contain himself, wrapping his little rival in a hug before dragging him off to fight for a new future together.
Man, now I kind of want to go back and replay this, because I finally know Kirby and know King Dedede. I had no idea what these characters were when I was playing it, so I didn't understand the significance of any of these moments. This is why lore is so important. It makes these moments so much more impactful.
A majority of Dedede's development to this point had happened outside of the purview of his creator and voice actor, Masahiro Sakurai. But when writing a new story for the characters he created, Dedede's kindness and selflessness were put at the forefront. In spite of the character passing through so many hands up to this point, two things always remained consistent about Dedede. He's a dork, and his friendship with Kirby has slowly, but finally, become a two-way street.
It's awesome. It's great that we developed the character in this way. And we stuck to our guns, and not just made him some generic villain. Or else he'd just be boring. Just be another throwaway character, you know?
Kirby's Return to Dreamland features the first time Dedede needs absolutely no coaxing to join Kirby on a quest. Sure, he'll mess with Kirby on the title screen and chase after his cake, but Dedede actively volunteers to help out Magolor with the puffball for no other reason than it being the right thing to do. Then Triple Deluxe sees the Rotund Regent kidnapped by Taranza, mistaken for Kirby as the strongest warrior on Pop's.
They're the same picture. Yeah. Look, when I look at King Dedede, all I see is the shape of friendship.
He gets brainwashed, masked, unmasked, and bopped in fairly quick order once Kirby reaches him. But Kirby's full motivation through the entirety of this game is simply to rescue his friend, at least before he reaches the people of the sky. And Dedede isn't even embarrassed to be rescued by Kirby this time, cowering behind his more powerful buddy when Queen Sectonia begins threatening them, casting away his pride almost entirely. But when push comes to shove, Dedede does his part, blasting Kirby into the final battle with a cannon and freeing the little guy when he gets caught in one of Sectonia's vines. By smashing him with a hammer, admittedly. But hey, King Dedede and Kirby got to save the world.
Look, it doesn't matter what the method is, it's the intention here. And he's fully on his rival's quote-unquote side here. Honestly, this is a much healthier rivalry relationship than there is in most shonen anime. Granted, it's a bit of a different situation, because a lot of the time in shonen anime, both of the characters are trying to grow. Whereas here, Kirby has always been Kirby and has stayed very consistent to his ideals. King Dedede is honestly the biggest winner in this relationship, considering how much he's grown from his experiences with Kirby.
World together for the first time since Adventure, and in far more noble circumstances for one of them. Dedede really had finally gotten over himself, and nothing would prove that more than his own what-if adventure, Dedede Tour.
I am a superstar warrior!
Dedede's 3D tour in 3D, part of Kirby Triple D on the 3DS, shows the monarch plowing through the kingdom of the sky, with nothing more than his strength and the skills he's picked up, proving himself just as capable as Kirby at taking on whatever forces may threaten Dreamland. However, it's this mode's end that adds the most to Dedede, as when he beats Sectonia in the Royal Rumble, the Dimension Mirror appears before him. This artifact, first appearing in Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, is something that Dedede has never encountered. A portal to another dimension that can corrupt and overtake those who gaze into its reflection for too long. Queen Sectonia was driven mad with vanity through its influence. Meta Knight had been defeated by his own doppelganger from the mirror in the past. And Kirby, well, Kirby was lucky that even his dark reflection is a pretty swell guy.
I mean, it's a reflection of one's inner self, so there isn't really anything that Kirby's hiding. It's just all Kirby.
And when Dedede gazes into the mirror, his shadow emerges for a
Wait, this
fight.
music.
Nobody monkeys with
Oh no! Oh, of course! Oh. Gosh darn it! Oh man, I recognized it, and then I looked at the screen and I was like, oh, it's from Persona 4. Of course, man! Oh, I love Persona 4 Golden. Probably going to end up being my favorite Persona once I finish the entirety of the series, but man, if you guys haven't played it, I highly recommend it. It's just peak. I love all those characters so much. And yes, of course we'd use Persona 4 for this moment. Fighting one shadow self. Which is actually so perfectly thematic for King Dedede, because this is like a reflection of his past self now. And he will literally beat it down. He also proves to himself that he's grown, that he's become better than he used to be. This is awesome. This is such a great idea.
Triple D!
And Dedede wins that pretty handily. Heck, then he goes a step further, enters the mirror, challenges Dark Meta Knight to a brawl, and beats him too. In spite of being possessed and manipulated, selfish and arrogant, lazy and formerly tyrannical, Dedede was able to stand up to a pure corruptive influence even Meta Knight couldn't overcome, and shatters it to pieces.
Wait, does this mean King Dedede is stronger than Meta Knight? Or maybe it's more of a situational kind of thing.
Has accepted his demons, works toward becoming better than them, and has gained a strength of character that the gluttonous tyrant of Mount Dedede could never dream of having.
Yes.
And yeah, this is a non-canon storyline, but soloing Persona 4 and destroying an entire dimension is still pretty reflective of Dedede's character and strength in a way that deserves to be celebrated. Even when no one's looking, Dedede is still growing. And while this next bit is entirely conjecture on my part, I like to think that when Dark Mind, master of the mirror dimension, appears in the future, he chooses to materialize as the one being who's undoubtedly stronger than him. The one being that he's never been able to corrupt.
Fairly conjecture, but hey,
Kirby Planet Robobot doubles down on Dedede's power and strength of character, being noted as one of the strongest life forms on Popstar by the Haltman Works Company. However, the clones of the king that they produce are notably imperfect. Some obsessed with only food, some terrified of insects, and all lacking Dedede's strongest aspect, his soul.
Yes.
Star Ally shows just how far he's come. Dedede proclaiming in his guest Star Allies mode that I'll be the one to keep the peace, wanting to repair his image and defend the kingdom himself. And of course,
King Dedede's redemption arc is here, baby. I mean, it's been going on for a while now, but at this point, I feel like it's undeniable that he's a respectable king who has imperfections, but is working on all of them.
Of course, when he's overcome by the Jamba Heart's dark influence and steals all the food in Dreamland again, Kirby cannot believe it. At this point, something has to be wrong for Dedede to steal the food of all the people he loves.
This Kirby would have never thought if it was old King Dedede. Because we already had that time during Squeak Squad where Kirby incorrectly assumed that it was him. But now, no, that's not him anymore.
His signature act of villainy becoming something unbelievable for the man he is now. Certainly a far cry from Kirby expecting the king to steal his shortcake in Squeak Squad. His majesty has grown so much over the years, but he's still looking for that one chance. All he needs is one opportunity, one main story appearance to prove beyond the shadow of the doubt that he is strong. He is a hero. He is Dedede.
And here we are.
Cast deep into the forgotten land before Kirby, King King Dedede was crestfallen, unable to find the one that he considered to be his destined rival. Joining up with the Beast Pack, King Dedede somehow grew even stronger and let the power he'd been building up for years really get a chance to shine. Kirby in the Forgotten Land features a Dedede with absolutely ridiculous strength, picking up a stone pillar with relative ease and making tossing it around look such a breeze.
Strongest warrior.
And in spite of Kirby actively seeing Dedede mistreat and imprison his Waddle Dees, neither Kirby nor Bandana Waddle Dee believe the king's in his right mind to do so. Something that would be seen as second nature for Dedede before is again thought of as impossible. And they're right.
Sounds odd.
Dedede isn't just brainwashed here, he's double brainwashed in order to fight Kirby. The pain of his new mask reverting him to a primal form for the Pink Menace to overcome. And after a brutal battle, once freed from his mental prison...
Okay, actually, now I understand why King Dedede is like the go-to choice for being possessed. It creates a much more interesting dynamic between the player playing as Kirby fighting against King Dedede after this journey of self-improvement that he's gone on, and how, you know, this behavior is now odd for him in comparison to how he was before, but like the possessions, every single time he gets possessed, it just kind of reverts him back to that previous state he used to be in. It's the juxtaposition that makes it so much more impactful. And that's what I was talking about in the last video as well, that like relatable villains make boss fights so much more emotionally heavy, more weighty. It actually means something. So for both a lore reason, because obviously he's like one of the strongest. So yeah, if you want to possess somebody, you want to possess him, because obviously nobody is going to be possessing Kirby. And for a narrative purpose, it makes so much more sense to me now.
Dedede's just happy to see that Kirby's okay. There's no animosity, no humiliation from being beaten again, no bitterness or competitiveness. King Dedede is truly happy to see Kirby, and immediately goes to ensure the Waddle Dees he's captured are okay, and not too mad at him. Dedede is fully ready and willing to follow Kirby into the final battle against and make up for his past mistakes. When suddenly a horde of Beast Pack soldiers come flooding in. While the Popstar natives attempt to flee, a Waddle Dee trips, about to be Mufasa'd by the incoming horde.
No! About to be Mufasa, no! You can't let that happen. Not again!
Dedede won't stand for that.
Yeah.
He rushes to the Waddle Dee's side, makes sure it's okay, realizes there's no time for both of them, and hurls the Waddle Dee to safety. Despite Kirby desperately trying to keep the door open for him, King Dedede stays behind, facing down an army by himself.
Is that Lord of the Rings? Yes, it is.
To buy Kirby enough time to save the world. The king manages to survive his ordeal, having the Waddle Dees that were with him feed and nurse him back to health, and the one whose life he saved will be the first to admit that he's a slothful doofus. But he's so cool and strong, and the Waddle Dees are proud to...
Peak male performance right there. I've gained like such a newfound respect for this character. I thought he was just a silly goofball, but he's just so much more.
Serve a king like him. Dedede's even a bit jealous that Kirby's been saving the Waddle Dees while he was busy being brainwashed. A shame that he wasn't doing that job himself. And all in all, this is the finale to Dedede's character arc. The king who would have starved the people of Dreamland for his own selfish indulgence would now gladly give his life just to save one of them. But while he's changed at his heart, who he is, the goofy, lazy, prideful competitor, hasn't gone anywhere. Dedede just knows how to use his strength for the better.
I feel like, yeah, he's still him, but he's become a much more complete person. And he doesn't have all these barriers surrounding himself anymore. Now he understands what he is and what he means to the people around him as well, what they mean to him.
For others, for the sake of kindness. King Dedede is a silly character. I hope you've caught on that. He's not a deep manifestation of some ideal or a being with loads and loads of backstory to him. He's a funny penguin who tries real hard except when he doesn't. But far more important than all of that, King Dedede is a reflection of everything that Kirby represents and how simple compassion and humility can change a person for the better.
This is when we cue the music.
One simple act.
Once again, without King Dedede, we would not see the results of any of this. It would just be Kirby. It also ties into the method of presenting the lore that Kirby has established. Like, it's simple. Anybody can get into it. But there is also so much to be discovered. Like King Dedede, who's simple. He's a silly penguin. But deep down is a great guy who's been through a lot and has made mistakes in his past, and he wants to become better because of a simple act of kindness that he was shown.
Of caring took Dedede down a journey where who he was at his core didn't change, but the way he interacted with and cared about others did. Dedede's a prankster, a braggart, a hothead, a glutton, an egotist, and a buffoon. But now, he's also a friend. Both Masahiro Sakurai and Shinya Kumazaki have voiced him. Dozens more have guided his path. And over 30 years, despite being affected by so many creative visions, King Dedede has been developing into a better person more consistently than his character design. And while some interpretations lean into this more than others, it's so nice to have a truly healthy and sincere story about becoming a better person. Kirby is the embodiment of friendship. King Dedede is proof of just how strong friendship can be.
Exactly.
And his heart, his care, his desire to be better in every way, in every game, shows how unbreakable of a bond that truly is. That is the power of kindness.
Bro, is every single video this channel makes just an absolute banger? Like, these have been phenomenal, man. And I'm so glad I checked this one out too, because otherwise I wouldn't have thought so highly of King Dedede. I thought he was just kind of there, and that he was like trying to help out Kirby sometimes, but he wasn't very competent at doing that. But now, no, I've gained such a greater appreciation, a greater understanding. And I don't know, maybe he's my favorite character from Kirby so far. Kirby himself is great, but like King Dedede's arc here though, oh no, it's hard to beat. Dude, if I was a Kirby fan and I had played all the games from the beginning, and then I got to that moment in the Forgotten Land where he sacrificed himself to let everybody else escape, I think I'd just be sitting there bawling my eyes out like, man, what a guy. That's my king right there. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me, my dudes. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.